Hi there guys, what's going on? So today I wanted to talk about something that is important, I guess, for any bodybuilder, and this is the biceps peak. So how do you grow your biceps peak? We're gonna talk about the brachialis, which is a muscle, a very tiny muscle, but which can make a massive difference. So if you're really looking for, that cannonball, tennis ball, bicep look, you should stay on this video. So how do you get a great peak? And so here we're gonna start with some bad news, which is that the genetics are the genetics, and so some people, will have a biceps peak far more easily than someone else, and so this is due to having, for example, short biceps or long biceps. So if you have short biceps, usually it's gonna come out quite easily. Your biceps, if you're lean enough, it's gonna show. And if you have longer biceps, basically there won't be much space in between your forearms and your biceps. So usually what we say is that to know if you have a short or a long biceps is just to basically put your fingers here, flex the biceps and put how many fingers you can there. So for me that's two, and I think two basically is in between short or long. So I think that's the best position to be in, because when you have short biceps, basically it's great, you can have a good peak, but there isn't much fibers. You're limited in terms of like development of your biceps. You can't build much meat. Whether when you have long biceps, there's a lot of space to fill, and your biceps can be very big. So I think in between is good, because it offers you a chance to have this peak but still have full big biceps. So these are the main differences, and so the genetics, you can't change them, but you can still work around them. So we're gonna see what we can do in any specific cases. So for example, having a short or a long biceps. So as I said, there are some good news here, is that it's not because your genetics are bad for your biceps that you can't work around it. And so the key thing here is to work on a muscle called the brachialis, and this is for even if you have short biceps, you can work on the brachialis, because the brachialis will offer you to have arms looking bigger and fuller. This muscle right underneath the biceps, if you grow it, will actually make your arm look fuller. And so if you were scared that you didn't have enough muscle with your peak, because your muscle, your biceps are short, then the brachialis, growing it, will help you having this fuller look that, for example, someone with longer biceps wouldn't really care about. Even though now we're gonna see that if you have long biceps, you are lacking this peak. So the brachialis also matters. So why the brachialis matters for people who've got long biceps? Well, like I said, the peak won't really come out because the biceps is very long, and it's going all the way up to the forearms when you're flexing. And so it's more this, instead of doing like a mountain like this, it's more like a hill going like that. And even though you've got big biceps, it's frustrating because it doesn't come out, and then you're like, what's the point? For me, a good biceps is the bicep that look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, massive peak. So this is understandable that this is frustrating. And so the brachialis is that muscle right underneath the biceps. So if you make it grow, as it's underneath, it's basically gonna get bigger, and the biceps that is here, if it gets bigger here, it's gonna push the bicep up, and this is why the peak is gonna come out. So this is why the brachialis is very important, and that's why you see people doing hammer curls and this type of variations of curls, because they target the brachialis. So this is the solution for someone who's got long biceps, to work on the brachialis and try to make it grow. And so for this, there are good exercises that I personally recommend from my experience that work well. And first you have to lean your arms forward, because if you lean your arm forward during the movement, you're basically deactivating the biceps himself, and you actually focus more on the brachialis and the forearms. But here, we're gonna set the brachialis, and so you deactivate the work of the biceps almost fully to just focus on the brachialis. So leaning your arm forward is very important, and that's why the preacher curls, in the pronated grip, can be very good to work on your brachialis. Another exercise that I really recommend are neutral grip pull-ups. You're really working on your brachialis here, and try, not to have your back too arched, so you don't recruit your lats too much. Try to stay in like a normal back position where you're just like straight, but that's it. And then try to do the work with your arms, and especially the brachialis. So neutral position is like this. So I would really recommend this exercise. And now we're gonna talk about the brachialis in a way that this is a very small muscle, so you might really struggle to feel it. And so you could, start working on your brachialis going quite heavy, but I would also recommend sometimes doing higher reps on this muscle and really try to feel this part that is very hard, to feel. So when you go, for example, on the preacher curls, you can do, one arm preacher curls with a dumbbell, and then you will, just do as preacher curls, which is going down and up, just like normal curls. But you will try to feel, with your hand, put your hand where the brachialis is, and really try to focus on the part, and do high reps, 20 to 30 reps, 40 reps. Go with some weights that allows you to do this, and because you will learn how to feel it with lower weights, then when you go with the heavier sets, you will then be able to recruit it more, because you've got done all this work, which was about learning how to feel it and recruit it. So then you really benefit from this back end work on your heavy sessions. And so that could be the same for the pull-ups. Do pull-ups, heavy pull-ups on the neutral grip for your brachialis, but also go on the lat machine, where you'll also take the neutral grip, and you really try to focus on the brachialis, doing higher reps, like 30 to 40 reps, and really try to focus on this exact part here. So the light is pretty shit, so we can't really see, but this is what I would really advise. Now, one thing that you want to do is obviously work on your biceps anyway. You want to improve on your biceps as much as you can. So, for this, you'll just have to follow the progressive overloads, kind of training, which is you try to improve on your strengths, but you're still doing enough volume to get bigger. And be careful if you have very short biceps, not to overstretch it. So, like on incline curls, which is a great exercise, be careful though not overstretching your biceps, and be careful with inclining your bench, not too much basically. And the last thing I want to say, if you want to see your biceps peak, is to be lean enough. And you might need to be lean enough also to realize whether you've got short or long biceps, because sometimes if the fat really covers this part between the forearms and your biceps when you're flexing, you actually really can't really tell what you have. So if you really want to see your peak, you have to be lean. Like, this is just like abs. You could have big abs under the fat, but you can't see them because you're just holding too much fat covering it. So that was the last thing to understand on how to have a good peak for your biceps. So I hope this was insightful, and unfortunately these are my first videos, so it's quite hard to be good at talking. So I did my best, but one thing that I could really advise you to do is to leave something in the comments if you're still confused about how to grow your biceps peak, and I will make sure to answer.